right. While I search for the agenda, why don't we just roll call that I think we have a quorum now. So Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson present.
Tom Mead,
Tom Mead, present.
Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy present.
Ted Carr present. Okay, so we have a quorum. We can start our meeting. Who's got the agenda handy? I don't know. I know we have minutes. Let's see. Is that it? Oh, great. Okay, anybody in the public? No. Any public comment? No.
There's no one else here that's joined the meeting.
Okay, great. So update on Heather Drive and Mill Lane.
So that really lies at the same point that we had when we had our meeting a few weeks ago. I haven't received confirmation as to the guidance from town council as the documents.
Okay,
I was unable, through no fault of town council, to really push them on it last week. I was unexpectedly out of the office more than I expected, but I don't anticipate this holding up any of our process, and I'm confident that I'll get through to town council before the end of this week. I mean, because it's literally just a matter of changing a few names and numbers on the deed. And my understanding is that the town is not going to intentionally hold it up. That's what I understand.
Right.
okay. Tom, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just on the real estate agent selection. In between meetings, I did trade texts with Steve Gomer. I have identified a real estate agent that we'd like to use. I need to just write a brief memo to sort of paper the file, but I did reach out to 4 realtors in my network. 2 of them, seem to have good experience or understanding of this type of RFP, process or disposition of public property. So it came down to 2, and then the one individual is Bill Fennelly at Coldwell Banker. He's a lot of experience in development, real estate, land deals. He's already been in to see Lauren and pull the jacket, and he's got a real good understanding of what we're dealing with on Heather Drive. So really just, I'd say that decision is final, right? We already took a vote on sort of authorizing me to make that final decision, so I can paper up the file for that. And then I'd just be looking for direction on, at what point do we want to pull an actual listing together? That would be the next step in this process. Bill would pull together the information he's gathered. He may ask us any additional questions, and then he'll prepare an actual MLS listing, which we would need to review, and then give him the green light to post it on MLS. So I guess my question in there, maybe for Cindy or Lauren, from a process standpoint, at what point are we going to green light him to put this thing on the public market?
If I could answer briefly, you can put it on the market, whenever you want to. I think one of the questions is really, what is the best time frame to put it on the market to get the highest price? And I think when to actually put it on the market is really a question for him, as opposed to for Lauren or I, because it's really a market kind of thing, and also for the trust to decide, from a time frame point of thing, do you want to really rush? Would you rather hold off and get your best price? I don't think it's a legal issue.
Okay, great. Diane Kennedy. You're on mute, kiddo.
Sorry, hang on. Yeah, late nights. I do think there's a little bit of a political issue, only in that, we want to be somewhat responsive to the conversations around town, and I think we should button up the deed, kind of simultaneously, and listen, so if this real estate agent, for example, advised that we should put it on the market as soon as possible, then I would just say, let's just make sure we get that deed signed over and that work done, because that's somewhat what we've been holding, that's what's been holding us up anyway. So let's just make sure that process is completed.
I think that makes sense, Tom.
Yeah, so if I can, I think maybe what I'll suggest is I'll go back to Bill. I'll ask him to like pull together whatever that final, mocked up listing would be for our review, final approval. I'll ask him what he thinks about timing. And then I'll be able to come back to the board with, hey, here's the listing. Here's what he's proposing to put out there for materials. And he suggests go as soon as possible, or he suggests to wait till after the first of the year, or I can give you guys that guidance. But basically, I'll put Bill on notice to go ahead and get everything prepared to post to MLS, and then he'll wait for our final green light.
Okay, and we're going to talk about it in just a minute, but and from a communications perspective, I think Cindy and I have a chance to talk about that, but I think we should just, as it relates to these properties, also have a plan ourselves about articulating what we're doing. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay.
Mhm.
So I think I agree with all of this. I think unless anybody feels differently, maybe Tom could get the work behind the scenes done with the broker and just sort of be ready. I think I froze. Did I freeze? No, there we go. And then we can, I think in a short period of time, I think we should just, sort of do something from a communications perspective to say we're going forward with it, especially with the community around the area. Anybody have any other thoughts? Cindy, any thoughts on that?
When we talked yesterday, Ted, about some of the ideas to populate the website, one of them would be to put together, essentially, Tom, the public pipeline that you've put together, and have that on the website for anyone to reference as to here's the work that we're doing, here's where it stands. And I would think that would be part of that overall pipeline, not just something specific to Heather Drive, but be nice to have at least an outline or a sketch of all of those projects up on our web, on the AHT part of the town website.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So I think let's, I think the deed is proceeding nicely. I think we'll figure that out. I think Tom, if you're okay to work with the broker, and then we'll figure out some things to put up on the website about the offering, and then just I don't know, circulate maybe through Lauren if you get any feedback from the broker in terms of timing or something like that we need to deal with. But I think as soon as we got all our ducks in an order, I think we could proceed. Everybody in agreement?
Again, just based on what Ted and I were talking about yesterday, it would be nice to have a page that lists correspondence where we could have the letter to the butters publicly available on the website, as well as another page or link from the AHT web page of the website that lists the projects in general. So two things, one that shows the correspondence and the other that shows the whole pipeline and where this sale of the property fits in with that.
Oh, sorry, guys.
So look, I guess the question back to I need to ask Lauren is, who do we convey this information to? Who is the person who can help create additional link, a page related to the Affordable Housing Trust website?
That's Justin Schreier.
It would be Justin. Okay.
Yes. Yes, he's I can do some basic website content things, but when it comes to building new, I would always go with Justin because he knows what to do without messing it up. So
That's all I needed to know. It was like, who do we send it to? Who is responsible for updating it? If we are creating content.
You just need to give him the content and explain to him how if you have a particular order or things that you'd like and what you're looking for, and he'll work on that for you.
It may be a little bit of a patchwork, just trying to get stuff up as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
But, as I said, I'm jumping ahead into our communications discussion, but I've also been looking at a lot of other town websites, and there are some in particular that are really useful, like Manchester or Hingham have some
Okay.
good examples of things
Good
that they
morning.
can learn from too.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Cece's here, still doesn't feel well. She probably should have, but.
Okay, hang on
All
one
right, so
second.
it's okay to send her?
Yeah, send her home. Go ahead. Hey, sorry guys, my daughter's coming home from school early today. So, yeah, thanks. Yeah, go ahead and send her home. I'm just on with the beautiful people of the Affordable Housing Trust. Okay, thanks.
thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Bye.
Sorry about that, everybody.
We're all
Another-
traffic control, air
Another
traffic
sm-
controllers.
Another smooth kick start to the day at the Crazy Cars. So, yeah, okay. Go ahead, Diane.
Could I just, could I also add, Lauren did a really good, Lauren, very clear, very, explained the whole kind of jargon behind affordable housing. At the select board meeting last night, it was a PowerPoint presentation specifically for a discussion on a proposed LIP project, but it outlines all of the SHIs and what that means, and having that on our page with links to the, the housing production plan, et cetera, et cetera. I think that work last night, Lauren, was great, and it should be, on our page, on whatever planning's page, whoever else's page. So
100%. I would love to have something like that up on our page. And I'm not a good PowerPoint creator. So if someone has done that already.
oh, it's done and done well.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. I'm on it.
Excellent.
Okay, that's great. Now let's see, you all frozen. I think I'm moving. Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
No. Oh, there you go. Now I'm back. Sorry. Okay, that sounds great. Anything further on the properties? Cindy Mara?
The only thing I would suggest is if we're going to have a conversation about strategy and marketing of the property, and how it impacts the value of what we might get, that we might want to do that in executive session.
Good idea. Good idea. So why don't we, just so we put a placeholder, I'll work with Lauren and Steve. We'll just put an executive session on our next meeting. And if we find that we have to do something more timely, we could just convene briefly and have an executive session on the property. If that's okay with everybody. Okay, perfect. All right, next up is Tom. I know you've been away. Do you have?
I
time
don't,
for
I
an update
actually,
on pipeline, or?
I don't. I might ask Lauren to maybe just run us through real quick some
Okay.
updates.
Yes,
Great.
I will say since the last update that we got, a lot of times there's really not much to share. For example, 390 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, they're still working on their last sewer connection things until they're going to be eligible for certificates of occupancy. So that's still unfolding. 1 Pleasant Street is still under construction, will likely be for at least a couple more months before we see any progress on sort of their affordable housing component. 808 Jerusalem Road, they received their zoning board of appeals permits so that they can move forward with those 2 home ownership units. And really, we're just waiting now for Habitat for Humanity to be ready to apply for the building permit and to finish their fundraising. Internally, they had some staff turnover, and they've just brought on a new, I forget the position, but it's the person who's really in charge of the fundraising efforts. So I am anticipating that Noreen Brown will be introducing us shortly to that new person who will be taking over the fundraising efforts, and they'll be working to move forward on that project. Then we have 87 and 89 Cushing Road were 4 units that were provided as compensation for off-site inclusionary zoning affordable units for the redevelopment down at Costa Harbor Insight. Those units held a lottery. Unfortunately, the applications that the lottery agent received were not complete, so they were not able to award the lottery. So at this point, it's now open, first come, first served basis. So we've really been making sure that anyone that has reached out to us in the past, we reached out to the school department, all sorts of organizations and community groups just to get the word out there. But currently there's still some units. So if you know of anybody looking, 87 and 89 Cushing Road, still accepting applications for the units. And then the last thing I'll say to you is 55 South Main Street is the proposal for the gas station redevelopment site. It's currently before the planning board right now for their special permit. They're proposing 12 units of residential. They are not entirely certain whether they will be condominiums or apartments. They're working through that right now. But they're looking to do, I think at this point in time, they're most going to be anticipating that they will provide off-site units. It would be 2 units at the minimum currently, because our inclusionary zoning calculation rounds up to the nearest whole number. So it's 10% of those 12 units. That's why we would need 2 from that project. But again, they're really working through the final, financing and component of that, because so much of it is subject to change, whether you do home ownership, rental, if you include the sites on and off. But we can anticipate at least probably another 2 in the pipeline from that project. And then the last thing I'll say in terms of units in the pipeline is 502 North Main Street had come before Affordable Housing Steering Committee, and I had mentioned it. I think I circulated the information packet. It was a proposal for a local initiative project across from the train station. The project property owner wanted to do, 20 units of residential apartments. It would need to be, because we're in safe harbor for our 10% inclusionary zoning requirements, it really needs to be a local initiative program that the town would want to opt in with the property owner. So the select board voted last night in the absence of the property owner there to really make the case that they're not going to move forward with that application at this time. So that is the update on pipeline units. At this point, though, I would say even taking 502 North Main off the table, we still are looking at about 45 units in the pipeline that are in some level of construction or permitting at this point.
That's great. Lauren, thank you. That's great. Tom?
Quick question for Lauren. Can you just clarify on 502 North Main? So originally the proponent was saying they'd like to put in a LIP application, but then they didn't show up last night to.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a drawn out process. They had approached the town in the summer. We got an information packet from them. I had transmitted that to make a request. They wanted to come to the select board. Some time had elapsed since it was taken up. They were added to a meeting in the end of September. I was unable to attend that meeting, but I believe that the property owner was there. I think it was a very quick, informal discussion. They were invited back for a larger discussion that took place last night.
Mm-hmm.
I did reach out to said property owner to inform them that they were going to revisit the discussion. And I didn't hear back. So I never got a confirmation that they were interested. And that's where we sit now.
Got it. Thank you.
Diane?
If I could just add a little bit of color to that, from at least my perspective, it was less about the developer not being there, and more about some of the concerns we had in that, A, we're in safe harbor right now. B, we anticipate being in safe harbor for a while. C, we still have to work out as a community how we're going to address the requirements from the MBTA multifamily housing. So and we're also going through comprehensive zoning review, where, theoretically and hopefully there'll be opportunities to build up our affordable housing inventory through zoning changes, whether it's through accessory dwelling units or whatever. So we felt like there's so many things out there that we still need to resolve that we've been methodically working towards over the years, including, the units we're bringing online, through the planning. So through the planning we've done through the housing production plan, et cetera. So I personally just felt like, we're doing okay. We're doing well. We're marching towards, more affordable housing. We're in safe harbor. And I just felt like it's premature to have that kind of a conversation to put a 20 unit, apartment building across on North Main Street. So.
Got it. Thank you. It's helpful.
Yep. Lauren, do you know who, or can you say who the developer at the North Main Street is, or the 55 South Main, the garage?
So the 55 South Main is Cassie Malatesta, is the project applicant proponent. She's one of the partners on the project, but she's the main contact that we have. And then 502 North Main Street, the property owner's name was Micah Hearn.
Micah Hearn, okay. Okay. All right. Anything else on pipeline? No?
That's it for now.
All right, sounds good. So communications. Cindy, you want to have a stab at it? And
Well, just to recap, what we talked about, really needing to beef up the information that we have available on the website and making that clear and easily accessible so that as we start to work outward from there, we have a place to direct people to for the details of our work. So the three things that we just discussed in terms of correspondence, putting together, as simple as we can right now, a project pipeline, we can always enhance later, as well as explanations for what does affordable housing really mean in Cohasset. I think there's a lot of misinformation about what it entails. And so the more we can do to explain what it looks like here would be really beneficial as we're sending people through other outreach means, which have yet to be determined, whether it's short little videos that we send out periodically based on just some of the conversations that I had with Justin back in the summer. So that's kind of where we stand right now.
two things I might add is we'd love some help in the area of communication. So Cindy and I talked about, and I did reach out to David Pfeiffer to see if he might help us going forward with some matters pertaining to communications. I think he's got a very interesting background in advocacy, and as a person that deals with marketing, especially around mortgages, I think he could bring a lot of value. And so I did reach out to him, and I haven't heard back, but we'd like to see if he might help us on the communications aspect, if that's okay with everybody. And then the other thing, and we can talk about administrative, if it's okay with everybody, one of the things, Cindy does a great job, everybody does, about keeping notes for the meeting, but so I'm the newest member of the school committee as well, and we actually have a from the distance solution for note taking and I was going to just look into it to see what it entails about having someone take notes for us. I don't think it's a humongous cost, but if it's okay with everybody, I'd love to look into that. I think having timely minutes and things like that goes a long way for an organization. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll look into see how we do it at the school committee. I'm also the secretary of the school board, so I'm responsible for minutes, and I've been there for like 10 minutes. I'm already behind. So anyway, it's great. It's working out really well. It's relatively new for us. So what do people think? Would that be okay to look into it? And Diane, I see you get your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to comment on something else, but to that point, yes, look into it. I am a huge advocate. I wish we could find a way to staff every single committee and not have it be Lauren and Tracy and whoever, especially Lauren is a director, manager person. So yes, whatever it takes. And if it's something that we need to figure out how to fund, I'm your advocate.
Okay. Cindy.
And I'll just say, since I've sent Steve and he's reviewed, so we have minutes to review today. I've been able to write them up through May. I can do a couple more. Again, it's like where to shift the time. Am I writing up minutes, or am I trying to work on a communication plan and so forth? Because clearly Lauren is not the person to be writing up minutes. So right. I would really push strongly to have someone who can if we can hire this out would be fantastic. Also, to emphasize the point, transparency, it seems to be the key to our success going forward, at least from all of the webinars I've attended on affordable housing committees and so forth. So having our minutes easily available, both in the recorded version as well as the written form, seem pretty important to maintaining a sense of openness with the town.
Tom and Diane?
I'll just say I totally agree. I would say find the solution and let's propose and approve it at the next meeting or even outside the meeting. I think we're all on board. I don't think cost is really an issue, whether it's us or we can go and ask the select board for help with it as well. We're pretty well funded here, and it's just so important on so many different levels that it's to me worth doing.
Okay,
I forgot we have money. What I also want to say is, I think just in terms of from the community perspective, the transparency word is such a kind of a frustrating buzzword in a lot of ways. But one of the challenges is that all of the individual committees are all doing really great work, and they're like fully engaged in their committee, and there's less of an opportunity for us all to feel like we're working together and towards the same end. And I think that's been one of my biggest frustrations. It's the system. It's just, there's not a lot we can do about it. But as a select person, like, you know, we've kind of got the ultimate policy goals up here. And then there's all these other armies kind of all over the place doing really great work. And we don't have enough time in the day to pull it all together. So one thing I would recommend, two things. One is Cindy Matheson, if you have time, and Ted as the communications leads for us, really get to know Justin Schreier, because he's pulling a lot of this together. And then to that end, there's a bunch of public planning meetings coming up over the next, they're really community input meetings, including one. When's the next one, Lauren, or the first one, Lauren? Is it next Monday?
Yes. Are you talking about the zoning bylaw forum?
The zone, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So the
that's
zoning
taking place on Monday, the 17th.
Monday the 17th, and it's really to solicit community input on this particular one, on zoning matters in the harbor and in the village. And then there's going to be another one for another more global approach to what zoning looks like. And we need to be part of that conversation, we being leaders in one area within what the town looks like. So I encourage everybody to get involved in that, but also, again, really use Justin as a hub.
Great suggestion.
To that point, yes, I really like meeting with Justin, and I now have a little bit more time to be able to devote towards that. So thanks. Thank you for suggesting getting back to Justin and not being afraid to bug him too much. One on the other issue, just that you raised, Diane, with the committees. A while, I think it was back in May, I did send out something called Key Factors for Municipal Support for Affordable Housing Trusts. And one of the things on there talked about having cross-pollination between boards, like having someone from, say, from Russ's committee, sorry, CB, whatever, attending some of our meetings, as well as a regular attendance by one of us, perhaps on the CPC community meetings and so forth. Anybody who's involved in housing. So something else to think about, just a little bit of overlap between some of the committees that are interested in this, but surely being part of the attending some of the planning zoning board issues that obviously affect affordable housing as well seems pretty important.
Sounds good. All right, anything else on communications?
I think
All right.
that's what I have for now.
Yeah, so Cindy did some great research about some other towns that do it well from a website perspective. We both looked at both Hingham and Manchester by the Sea. So if you have 5 minutes and want to see what we thought, Cindy really flagged it as a great example of some other towns and what they are putting up. Those are two, I think, excellent examples.
Yeah, Hingham, Manchester by the Sea, and Concord were three of the ones that I found, and they have similar kind of demographics for us. I mean, Hingham's right next door, but Manchester by the Sea and Concord, again, similar circumstances for us. They just have a little bit more land available than we do, I think.
All right, sound good. All right, so finance, Steve's away. Anybody got any burning financing issues or topics? No, we can hold that one for the next meeting. Oh, okay, great. And then does anybody have an update on the steering committee? I know Rob is there a new chair over there? Yep, go ahead, Lauren.
Yes, so the new chair is Paul Kearse. The new vice chair is Mary Hines. They had a meeting yesterday. Paul was not able to attend the meeting, so Mary Hines was there with two of their other members. And they had a preliminary conversation with Cassie Malatesta at 55 South Main Street about what she is thinking. I think she's going to really do some more sort of market research and come back with a more concrete proposal. So it was a preliminary discussion. That is primarily what they discussed. They also will be taking part in the series of zoning forums that are taking place over the next few months. In November, we're planning to talk about one that's really more of a housing focused one. So the Affordable Housing Steering Committee will play a part in that presentation. Someone will, speak about the housing production plan and what they've been working on. That I would say is really sort of the gist of what they've been up to most recently. And they still have a request that's sort of like pending. They're going to come back and discuss with the select board soon about changing their membership. But that was something that Paul Kearse was going to take on. And again, he wasn't there yesterday, so I wasn't really able to get an update on that.
Thanks, that's great. Any questions on those guys? Okay, under the administrative section, then we have our next meeting is November 9th, I think, yeah. And we do have some minutes to approve. Does anybody have those handy at the moment? If not, I can.
It's April 13th, 2022 and May 11th, 2022.
Okay, beautiful. Cindy, thank you, and Lauren, thank you on those. Anybody like to make a motion to approve either of those? Or
So
both of
moved.
those?
So moved.
I'll second it.
And second, okay, great. Any discussion or any changes that anybody saw?
Just a big thank you to Cindy. Really comprehensive, super helpful. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, it's moved and seconded, so I'll take, I guess, do I have to do roll call here? I guess I probably should, all right? Okay, so in terms of this motion, Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson, aye.
Tom Mead,
Tom Mead, aye.
Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
and Ted Carr, aye. So the minutes pass. Next, we have any member comments? All right, and anybody got any topics that didn't make the agenda deadline?
Nope.
No? Okay, hey, we're cooking right along now. Okay, and then is there any need for an executive session today? Does anybody know?
We put this on in the event that there was an update about one of the topics that we most recently discussed in executive session, but I don't believe that we have substantive information to give you at this time. So I'll just ask Cindy Amara, it's on the agenda. Do they need to do anything about it?
No, I don't think so. I was just looking at it like, I think we've talked about everything that has come up that we know of at the moment. So I don't think there is anything.
Tom?
So outstanding was we were to write an offer on a property. So I'm not sure where that stands.
I've traded phone calls with their attorney. And I have nothing yet to report. There was some holdup on their end, I think about them not quite being ready. Having nothing to do with us, but just in terms of their own getting it together. That's my understanding. I'll reach out to them again this week. But I don't think there's anything delaying it. I think it's just a function of they weren't quite as ready as they might have originally hoped they were to put the unit up. Is that consistent with your understanding, Lauren?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
All right, so let's see, did we miss anything? No, I think we got it all covered. All right, anybody want to move that we adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Tom, thank you. Is there a second? I'll second it. All those in favor? I'll just roll call. Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson, aye.
Tom Mead,
Tom Mead, aye.
Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
and Ted Carr, aye. Okay, thank you all so much. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.